I am, hands down, the best pilot in this dump. Don't let anyone tell you different. You kidding? It's what I was born to do. Wait, I mean flying is what I was born to do. This Vanguard thing? Temporary. Only a matter of time before I get called up to the Navy. Before you know it, I'll be a captain. No, wait. Admiral. Yeah. What does it matter? I'm gonna be out of here before you can blink, and this will all be behind me. That reporter didn't put you up to this, did he? I already told him. It was a misunderstanding. An accident. My flight record was spotless otherwise. Well, yeah. Why wouldn't I be? Oh, right. You haven't seen me fly. If you had, you'd know how good I am. What? I'm not advertising anything. I'm a pilot. For the Vanguard. Are you even paying attention? I'd offer to let you fly along on my next mission, but, oh, man, I nearly forgot. Listen, I need a favor. I've got an application in for a promotion in the Vanguard, but I haven't heard anything back. It's been a while. Their reply must have gotten lost along the way. It happens. We're really far from New Atlantis. Anyway, would you mind going there and following up for me? Yeah, I mean, probably, but you know how it goes. I leave here and then something terrible happens and I have all this guilt because I wasn't here to save everyone. Just like that? Wow, that's great! I'm not gonna forget that you're doing this for me. This is just the start of my climb up the ranks. You'll see. Okay, you're gonna want to talk to Commander Tuwala. I'm sure he's aware of me because I've sent him a few messages now. Just bring back whatever message for me so I can get out of here, okay? Really appreciate it.
I really did think this place would see a bit more action. Why, certainly. The Settled Systems News Network is the longest-running news service in... well, the Settled Systems. Reporters are dispatched all over, keeping an ear to the ground for some breaking news that should be known to everyone. It can, admittedly, be a bit of a pain making sure those stories reach our central office in New Atlantis. But until someone invents faster-than-light communication, it's the best we can do. Well, I certainly feel that way. The Vanguard pilots don't seem to want to associate with me. And I don't agree with Mr. Romack's views on the Colony War, so there are few options left to me. You know, I really thought volunteering for this assignment was going to be the boost to my career that I was looking for. Now I suspect even SSNN has forgotten about me. Thank you for the kind words of support, random citizen.
Welcome to the Trade Authority. I'm Marcel, and if there's anything I can do for you, please, do let me know. Our stock may not be as vast as New Atlantis or Sidonia, but I will do my best to see that you leave here satisfied. And seeing as the Trade Authority is the only fully licensed operator for the Den, I'm afraid your alternatives are, shall we say, slim. It is a pleasure to make your acquaintance, and I hope this and all future interactions are profitable for both of us. It's very kind of you to offer, but I am currently not in a position to personally require your services. There are, however, likely some Trade Authority contracts available at the terminal down in the bar. I'm sure you're already aware that the Trade Authority is quite generous when it comes to completing said contracts. If there are deals to be made, you'll find that we'll go to great lengths to take advantage of them. My primary role here is to oversee logistics operations for our many trade routes in the area, but I convinced my superiors that it was worth setting up something more customer-oriented. I'm told that they are quite pleased with the results. You won't find a better offer on the station.
Looking to lodge a complaint? Then you want UC security, not the Vanguard. Oh, apologies, Captain. Didn't recognize you without the uniform. So, what can I do for you? Orlaise. Doesn't ring a bell. Anything you can tell me about him? A man living around Etheria. The gas giant. Only one ship like that I know of. Never docks. Doesn't respond to hails. They call it the Warlock. Maybe this Orlace of yours is the one piloting it. I can give you the coordinates to its last sighted location if you want. Just, well, you'll need to be careful. That part of Etheria's sky is an old debris field. Plenty dangerous. More than a few scrappers heading out never came back. I honestly thought it was just a storyboard haulers told each other to keep themselves amused. Pretty surprised to find out he has a name. Like, finding out the Grim Reaper's named Mitch or something. Huh. Makes you wonder, though. Ships have been disappearing in those fields for years. Going theory on why was a combination of old ordnance and Etheria's gravity disappearing them. But maybe someone's been helping them over the ledge. Things you should know? The den's not really that kind of place. This is a quiet assignment. Keep an eye out for pirates, make sure smuggling's kept to a minimum, occasional rescue job out in the debris fields. Otherwise, it's mostly long haulers and staying ready for the day the Collective wants another round, or House Varun comes back in force. Well, the original Den Star Station was destroyed decades ago during the Serpent's Crusade by marauding House Varun zealots. Big part of the remains from those battles ended up gathering around Etheria, forming a nasty debris field. Every now and then, some headstrong scrapper comes limping back because they hit an 80-year-old mine. Or sometimes they don't come back at all. Sure thing. Here. This should get you pointed in the right direction. Go get your man.
Don't let Orville get to you. Just smile, take your drink, and be on your way. Best for everyone. Ooh, well, that depends on who you ask. Orville over there is still stuck in the glory days when this was the domain of the UC military brass and all their hangers-on. You can't see those days are never coming back. The Vanguard pilots, they mostly just resent guarding the ass end of nowhere. Reyna's okay, I guess. She seems to really care about the mission. And me? Well, it's as good a place as any to be stuck, I guess. You know, that's a good question. I do stuff for Orville sometimes, odd jobs or whatever, when he's not annoying. But I think technically I get paid by the Vanguard. I mean, I could probably go look it up. But as long as the credits keep showing up in my account, I'll keep hanging around.
Hey there. Ain't seen you before. What brings you to the den?
I feel stuck.
That's so. Not many have reason to pass through here. Seems like most avoid it. But what do I know? I'm just an old man who's been here too long. Well, you're welcome here, so long as I don't hear you disrespecting the United Colony's military.
It's the same damn
You got a
thing
problem with our
day
history or our heroes?
day out.
And you can find somewhere else to get yourself a drink. Clear? Tell me something I don't know. You should have seen this place 30 years ago. UC's best and brightest were in and out of here all the time. But then the Colony War and, well, most folks don't like to be honest about that. I ain't one to turn my back on those who saved us in those days. And because I won't dishonor the memory of Vae Victis, business dries up. Ain't my problem that people don't like to face the reality of what happens in wartime. Man was a hero, not a traitor. Oh, he was a brilliant man. Just brilliant. Best leader we could have asked for in a crisis. He made the tough decisions no one else could. Did what needed to be done. Saved our asses. And when it was over, they turned on him. Called him a traitor and executed him. Just shameful. Well, not all of us are just gonna go along with rewriting history. Some of us remember. We saw it happen. Vae Victis sacrificed everything to save the United Colonies. That's what a real hero does. Well, now that depends. You support the UC? Consider yourself a patriot? Now that's what I like to hear. All right, maybe you can help me out. I had some posters made up a while back to remind folks of the good work Vae Victis has done for all of us. Try and push back against all the lies the government tells. I'd put them up here, but that's, caused some friction with the Vanguard pilots. I hate to see them go to waste, though. If a strong-willed, patriotic individual, such as yourself, were to make sure some of them were placed where they could inspire the people of the United Colonies, well, that'd be something. And there'd be some credits in it for anyone helping out the UC. What do you think?
I can't tell one day from the next anymore.
I was thinking the well might be a good spot. People down there might be more receptive, don't you think? You're one of them, huh? Well, I think we're done here.
Okay, I have to come clean about something. I can trust you, right? Hopefully you'll still feel that way in a few minutes. Here's the truth. That line I gave you about being a prototype tester for DRIP is just my cover story. I actually work for Aegis, the UC's intelligence network. I'm a spy. My last mission was compromised. Mast ordered me to cut ties immediately, get out of New Atlantis, and lay low for a while. That's where you came in. No, it's not like that. I'm under strict orders not to make contact with the office. I haven't spoken to anyone from Aegis since I joined your crew. Even if I was in touch with them, I'd never sell your secrets. Not after you saved my life. I know it's a lot to process. You have the right to some answers if you want them. I'll tell you anything you want to know about my service, unless it's classified. A bit, but keep it between us. Aegis doesn't like me sharing details to begin with. Talking about a compromised mission could get me into real trouble, especially since my target's still out there. My identity was compromised before I could take them out. Knowing we're on the same side makes it a lot easier to talk about this stuff. So, the reason I'm being especially cagey about this is because that last mission wasn't like my others. I usually dealt with targets in Neon, but this one was a little closer to home. Our surveillance network identified a group of spacers who were plotting a sabotage operation. They were going to use stolen Freestar ships to attack UC convoys. It got worse when we started digging into it. Turns out that the group's leader was a UC government official. It's not uncommon for groups of spacers or mercs to start getting ideas about taking power or influence away from the major factions. But government officials almost never get caught up in it. At least not as far as I know. I think they were trying to instigate another large-scale conflict between the UC and the Freestar Collective. Their leader was the type of person who had a lot to gain from starting another war. It's the kind of thing we like to get under control as soon as we can. That's where field agents like me come in. I was sent in to infiltrate the group, get close to the leader, and assassinate them before any of their operations got off the ground. My cover story was the same as usual, DRIP weapons tester. I told the group's leader I had a change of heart and wanted to defect from the UC to join their cause. I even brought along blueprints for some of DRIP's experimental tech to prove how serious I was. They took the bait and let me in. I was undercover for 6 months before things went south. No way. My family's got lots of close ties to the UC government. The group's leader might have recognized my last name. I used fake identities for most of my missions. The group I infiltrated knew me as Preston Hillcrest. Not for anything functional. DRIP designs plenty of duds, too. Comes with the territory of developing experimental weaponry. I had to bite my tongue plenty. But a professional knows how to keep their opinions under wraps. If Aegis had handled things differently, I could have stayed undercover a lot longer. But HQ miscalculated just how far the group was willing to go to keep tabs on its members. The leader was totally paranoid about being found out as a traitor to the UC. They actually hired private security to keep an eye on every member of the group. I was caught out when they followed me to a routine meetup with my contact at HQ. They traced my contact back to Aegis, and that was that. Cover blown. I mean, I'm lucky Aegis figured out what had happened before I had to return to my undercover post. I doubt I'd be standing here if they hadn't. I couldn't tell you. I cut off all contact as soon as my cover was blown. But if I had to guess, they put another agent on it right away. And I'm willing to bet they're not going to screw around this time about eliminating the target. They wanted to mitigate the group's ability to make any more connections between Aegis and me. It's also safest for my family that way. If the group managed to track down my real identity, they may try to hurt them to get back at me. They'd sure have their work cut out for them if they tried anything on my parents, though. They're still as sharp as they were during the war. Doubt it. When I was undercover, I had to memorize a long list of contingency plans that the group's leader came up with in case the group was compromised. They were pretty serious about disbanding if anyone found out what they were up to. Way too close for comfort. Between you and me, I don't think Aegis treated this mission carefully enough. I tried to warn them about how capable the group was, but I don't think they took me seriously. Luckily, my career is the only thing I lost because of it. It could have been a lot worse. Aegis is the UC's intelligence network. Our primary function is preserving peace in the settled systems without the use of large-scale military force. Agents are scouted from the UC's government's workforce and tasked with different peacekeeping operations, based on their individual talents. They tap me for my sniping skills. My job was eliminating targets that the UC surveillance network identified as potential threats to galaxy-wide peace. Only my mom does. I wasn't supposed to tell anyone, but I couldn't resist letting it slip. She taught me to shoot. I wanted her to know that I was putting her lessons to good use. But the rest of my family only knows my cover story. I told them I had to stay tight-lipped about my work because the experimental tech Drip works on is classified. I can't be too specific. Most of my missions are still classified. But I can tell you that a lot of my targets came from Neon. Aegis keeps a close eye on the criminal underworld there. Sometimes bad seeds that rise through the ranks in Neon can become a real threat outside the city, too. I see your point. In a perfect world, the armistice would have solved the galaxy's problems and people like me would be out of a job. But the reality is that not everybody's committed to peace. The work I do isn't pretty, but I believe it saved lives in the long run. The people I white-lined were dangerous, not the type to be concerned with civilian casualties. I was tapped by a recruiter during basic training. He saw me doing target practice with my unit and was impressed by my sharpshooting skills. The offer from Aegis was a total surprise. My goal when I enlisted was to join the sniper corps like my mom. I never saw myself doing espionage work, but I'm glad they talked me into it. Covert ops was my calling. If I hadn't been compromised, I would have kept at it until I retired. Spies are a pretty convincing bunch, especially Agent Plato, the director of Aegis. It only took one conversation with him to convince me to take the offer. I was already committed to serving the UC military, so it felt more like a pivot than a career change. Nope. When something like this happens, Aegis insists on a clean break. It's safer for the organization and for the agents. Worked out for me too. I like this job. It's tough knowing I let my family down, though. They think I just abandoned my post at Drip. That isn't how I was raised. I'm sure my dad's disappointed in me. I can't. Aegis business is classified. Most of my family doesn't even know I work there. Telling them what happened would mean betraying the organization. Maybe you're right, boss. I'm still keeping my fingers crossed that they'll declassify my mission reports someday, though. It'd feel good to get this off my chest. But there's not much I can do about it right now. At the end of the day, I'm alive. And that's more than most compromised agents can say.
I just wanted to say thanks for the daring rescue back there. I had plans for Matsura, of course, but I appreciate the backup. I would have given them an exhaustive series of lectures on aneutronic fusion until they were either delirious or they became my new students, obviously. It's good to be part of a team, isn't it? To be part of something so much bigger than any one of us. So many things can go wrong out there. Working with people you can trust is important. And that's why I've been in Constellation so long. It's good to have people who will help out when you're in a jam. Exactly as often as I need to. Jams are just sticky successes, right? At first it seems annoying, but it eventually washes off. That's smart. Trust in things that are capable of trusting you. We're on the same wavelength here. Humans are so fragile in space. If you can't trust your crew and they can't trust you, well, nobody's coming home. That's why I'm still with Constellation all these years later. I trust them as individuals, and I trust them as a team. Speaking of which, I'm glad you joined Constellation. A long time. We should talk about it someday. I'd need to get some tea going for that chat, though. Just figured I'd mention it, since we haven't had much time to chat before. You know, being a member of Constellation has given me a lot of opportunities, and a fair bit of stress, I'll admit. It's hard to imagine just who I'd be had I never joined up. I would have never done so many things, met so many people. It's mind-boggling how different I would be. And I never would have met Irvin. Or lost him, I suppose. Irvin Madani was my husband. He was also a brilliant biologist who joined Constellation a couple of years before me. Yeah, he's gone now. I remember his bright smiles when I returned from my trips. Wow, more brilliant than any star. That's kind of you to ask. People used to say that we were polar opposites. He was quiet and shy, they said. But that wasn't true. He was just that way around everyone else. The war happened. He was caught in the crossfire between the UC and the Free Star Collective. It was right after he finished a job on Gagarin. Some terrible job, I don't remember. It's not you, Captain. It's just been on my mind. I can't say why. Irvin's been gone for over 20 years. Strange how memories can pop up when you least expect it. Well, I'm enjoying my time adventuring with you, and it reminds me of Irvin in a way. We had so many adventures together, and then it suddenly stopped. Maybe part of my mind is trying to remind me of that. Oh, I've been giving myself nothing but space and time for years. But maybe it's time for me to really think about it. Well, maybe I'll take you up on that offer later on, Captain. I need some time to think about things. On that note, I think I'd do well to distract myself with a little adventure for a bit.
Welcome back, Captain. Do you have some news for me regarding Dr. Olays? Happily. But first, I believe you owe me something. Your evidence? Excellent. Please, deposit it in the transfer system. This is fine work, Captain. I can ensure the remaining team members find their way to the Red Devil's headquarters. Except for one. That one you'll need to collect yourself. His name is Kaiser. You can find him on the Freestar world of Nira, wandering the battlefield there. The area was ground zero for xeno-weapon deployments during the war, so I would arm yourself appropriately. And I think you'll want to check in with Hadrian and Dr. Walker before paying it a visit. Kaiser will likely have security protocols you'll need their help to overcome. I dedicated my life to the United Colonies. Every effort of my being to their protection. I even gave them my heirs. Even if my circumstances have changed, my purpose has not. A military Model A, yes. Specifically customized for the needs of the Xeno warfare team during the Colony War. A powerful resource, if you can recover him. You're saving the galaxy, Captain. What tool wouldn't you use to protect it?
Captain, something up? Okay, didn't see that one coming. No need to say any more. I know what it's about. He's convinced he deserves a promotion, which to him means a transfer, a command post, maybe a new ship and a big office. Do you know him well? What do you think of him? Not the first time I've heard that. Clearly patience isn't his strong suit. I thought the constant stream of messages was a bit much, but if he's gonna be sending people here... All right, I received some good advice from someone in the Vanguard recently, and I'm gonna run with it. I'd like you to deliver this message to Bastion on my behalf, the full authority of Vanguard leadership. He's gonna be the first and only recipient of a new commendation. Quite an honor. I hope he appreciates it. Please, give him my regards.
Oh, this goddamn planet. You romanticize a place when you're away from it for long enough, but I forgot what a dust-crusted pit Mars can be. Now you, what do you need? Oh, nothing. I love having to take a toothbrush to every crate they drag in here. Now you gonna tell me what you need, or can I get back to my work? It's come up on my performance evals. But I know the needs of this facility inside and out. So, everyone has to deal with it. Not that it should matter to you. I'm sorry. Who are you again? Oh, that's you then. I was informed we might be working together. Don't much care for Vanguard. But sounds like you two really got into the thick of it back in New Atlantis. My sister's kids live in the city. So, thank you for what you did there. Yeah, they both came through okay. One science division, others an artist. Effectively useless human beings that would have had no reason to be anywhere near the fighting. Still, would hate to see anything happen to them. Now, what was it you needed? That's correct. Ran logistics for the Devils for years before getting the assignment here. Military logistics isn't usually thrilling work, but as bone-crushingly exhausting as this job could be, it sure as hell was never dull. Coordinating habitats for nightmares from the far side of Lantana 8B and their favorite breathing snack foods? Sure, why not? Stocking the UC for a rancher who's got 2,000 grade A kilos of biomass he can ship to Mars per week? We call days like that Tuesday. So when I heard things might be opening up again, I put in for my transfer immediately. If anyone can pull off something as downright lunatic as that, it's these people. And I'll make sure they've got all the supplies they might need to make it a reality.
I was afraid you might have gotten reassigned. You've been gone so long. So how's it feel to be a citizen? Must have changed up how the ceremony works. I just raised my hand and said, sure, I'm in. But it is real good to have you here again. We've been going through the Terramorph data and, well, we're gonna need all the help we can get. These logs, they're even more thorough than I remembered. Genetic workups, population statistics, hell, even their food chain.
I'd completely forgotten, for example, that there was a creature that actually ate Terramorphs. At this point, the data's given us more options to explore than we have people to work on them. Well, 8. They went extinct a few decades back. A big lumbering thing called an Achilles. Something I'd love to learn more about, if we had the people to look into it. That'd be something, wouldn't... I'm sorry, are you? You're serious? You found our research team? That's incredible. That accelerates everything. With them back, it'll let us... Wait. Kaiser. Did you find Kaiser? So you know where he is. That's amazing. Well, how? How exactly did you manage to find them? You can't be... Oh, you are serious. Okay. No more questions. But still, getting Kaiser back, that gives us more than a few new paths forward on dealing with the Terramorphs. But if he's been out there on his own all this time, you're gonna need something. Come on. Here, Kaiser schematics. Actuators, weapons, batteries. That old robot's been MIA for a while, so chances are he's gonna need some repairs. He's also got a lock on his voice controls. You can give yourself authorization with the phrase, Nos belli machinis. Now, where exactly is the old machine? Oh, it's really not that daunting. So long as he's on a planet with some modicum of civilization, you should be able to cobble together most of what he might need. He is on a planet like that. Right? Oh my god. Are you talking about Nero? No wonder no one's found him. Xenoweapons are just the tip of the iceberg in that place. The environment's devastated. There's little, if any, real law. Nero's got more than enough ways to make any visit your last. But I think there's a place where you can start your search. Yep. One-of-a-kind salvage. Licensed to an Angelo Alonso. Goes by Gel. As good a place to start as any. The Colony War saw a lot of hard fighting, but Nera got it the worst. Everything the Freestar Collective and UC could muster, ground troops, xenoweapons, mechs, was hurled into the fray. Both sides hoped something would decisively turn the tide, but it never did. When the war finally ended, swaths of that world were so devastated they were effectively abandoned. So what Kaiser's doing there of all places, I can only guess at. Kaiser lets us do field work with a level of precision that there's really no other way to accomplish. More than a few of the options we're looking into. Detectors to uncover the Terramorph transmission method, or crafting a targeted biological agent. They require highly specific materials to test against. And asking a group of Marines to accompany us for that kind of work, well, it usually ended up with ruined samples and wounded teammates. Come on, that's not funny. No, that's insane. He died. They executed him. They faked his death? My entire unit, they threw us all to the wolves, but kept him? And now he's what, an advisor? Commanding the fleet in secret? What was so important that they had to keep him alive? Oh, they certainly picked an expert, didn't they?
Vae Victus, the war criminal, is still alive. The UC had to be in on it. There's no other possibility, is there? What a damn nightmare.
I guess it makes sense, though, doesn't it? The UC of that era only created me because they were afraid of a world without Vae Victus in command. Why would they get rid of him? As long as I live, I'll never understand the loyalty that old bastard elicited.
you've got nothing to apologize for. Because the UC, they did a lot of terrible things for that man. But even knowing they did, knowing that they kept him alive all this time, you know what I feel right now? It's hope. I had no one when I was outside the UC. No Red Devils, no family. But that old world, where I was no one and my father mattered, that's gone. Thanks to what you and I have done, I have a place again. A purpose. But it's finally one I can be proud of. You and I, we're getting to change what the UC stands for. So I don't care if Victus is alive or dead. He can rot for all I care. We're the ones who are making the settled systems and the UC better. No, but I am willing to try and make them a place we can be proud of. The UC that kept my father alive, that threw me out, those people aren't in charge anymore. And the ones that are, well, they're giving us a chance. It's up to us to do something with it. I refuse to let that man define my entire life. Not anymore. Because there's nothing we can do about past choices. What we can do is try and make the right ones now. So, let's get back to the business at hand. Now, my father just handing over the information on the research team and Kaiser out of the clear blue, I can't say I trust it. But if he has something to gain from helping us prevent terramorph attacks, I'm not seeing it. So while you'll absolutely want to be cautious, what would you think about trying to bring back Kaiser? I'm honestly not sure what his endgame might be. Involving himself in preventing terramorph attacks after all the damage he's done? Something doesn't add up. But he clearly understands how valuable it'd be to have Kaiser involved in this endeavor. So, I still think it'd be worth looking into. If you're willing. Thank you. Just be careful out there. I'll make sure we're ready to put that machine to use as soon as you've got him.
Let's get
Something
out
else
there
you
and do
needed?
something new today, shall we?
All right, take care of yourself out there.
Hey! New model on the floor. Welcome to the one-of-a-kind. Refuge and rest home for the hardest scrappers anywhere. Name's Jill. Proprietor. Turn mechs into money mostly. Plus selling equipment, information, and supplies to any short-term scrappers that want to take a shot at striking it rich out in the fields. Appreciate it. Took years to get this place self-sustaining. Plenty elbow grease and creativity. Can I get you started on a tab, then? Or you here to try and make your fortune in the fields? I'm happy to take your credits however you want to hike them over. It's kind of an inside joke. Other than the fact that we're the only place out here, the mechs we harvest, they're primarily from a group known as the 1st Cavalry. Their unit was deployed to break the deadlock on this world during the Colony War. Almost succeeded, too, but as you can probably guess, it didn't ultimately work. Left us plenty of scrap to build with, though, so we thought it'd be funny to dedicate this place to the folks that made it possible. So they were pretty widely considered the best damn mech unit in the Freestar Militia. Maybe the galaxy. Their leader? Major Paxton Hull. They say he was some kind of tactical genius. Whole damn war, he always seemed to be just one step ahead of the UC. But all that changed here on Nera. The fighting was brutal, apparently. Between the aliens and the UC defenses, most of the 1st Cav was wiped out. They say Hull snapped, that he couldn't handle the loss of so many good soldiers. When the ceasefire order finally came, he ignored it. Said he was too close to victory. and didn't want his people's lives to be sacrificed for nothing. So they court-martialed Hull and the other survivors of the first, locked them all up, and that was that. Kaiser? No bot around here with that tag. Oh, unless you mean Captain Ahab? At least that's what we've all been calling him. No clue what his actual designation is, since he's got some sort of security protocol that prevents inquiries and general chit-chat. But he's a combat bot, right? Yeah, that machine's been out there a while now, hunting this one siren, his white whale. But it's been a while since anyone's laid eyes on Captain Ahab, though. Maybe he finally got the thing. Or it got him. Nasty kind of alien left behind after the colony war. Pretty much blind. Original ones brought to Nera were all xeno-weapons. But those critters have long since passed. But they left behind more than enough untrained babies to keep the fields plenty interesting. Moby Dick? Old Earth story about one Captain Ahab chasing some big fish that's bound to get him killed? No? We all thought the name was a good fit since our bot friend was so damn busy chasing that siren of his. Quality slate, too. Think I got a copy for sale if you want to give it a look. Well, all right. So, sounds like you've got two options. You can wander around out there, hunting your bot, little old white whale of your very own. Maybe you find him, maybe you get yourself killed. But knowing this rock is part of what we do here, so if you want to find him a whole lot faster, I'll sell you what I know about this. Kaiser's location. Going rate's a little steep, but I'm willing to negotiate. I mean, great for him, but that won't keep acetylene in our tanks. And honestly, would you be able to tell if a Terramorph was attacking outside? Sorry. I'm listening. In my experience, the right offer is always worth waiting for. You're wasting my time. I'm not sure that's a good idea. Look, I'm gonna stop you there. I've got my livelihood to look after here, all right? So, I'm sorry, but the fee's the fee. Pleasure doing business with you. So, last anyone heard of him, he was out near the Syracuse, shipwreck about a quarter-click down the main strip. One of my roughnecks said he heard some kind of beacon. Just keep your ears open. You should find your machine. Eyes open, too. Sirens and Ecliptic out there, and neither takes prisoners. Oh, and corpse retrieval is not included in this transaction, so now you know. Give Ahab Kaiser our best.